Welcome to the Cashflow Academy podcast. Andy Tanner here. I'm your host. This is where we make investing fun, simple, and real. I'm joined by Noah Davidson. I'm joined by Corey Halliday. So much. I mean, I almost feel like so much to talk about. You know, like one of those deals, right?
We live in the most interesting timeline, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You know, there's an old saying, I can't remember what a pastor said. Every generation, I suppose, sees their time as exceptional, but the truth of it is, you do live in an exceptional time.
Yeah.
Very much so. AI changing, but today we're going to talk about Tesla, and the idea here is to make money on Tesla. That's what we're here to do. Yeah, we'll talk about the Trump feud. We'll talk about that, but that's on the periphery. By the time we're finished with the podcast, we should have some insights on how we turn that into freaking cash. And so that's what we'll talk about. Like and subscribe and hit your notification. And also go to YourInvestingClass.com. Now listen, if you have not been there yet, go there now. Go to YourInvestingClass.com right now and download those goodies because they're unbelievably valuable. We put them out there for a reason. And the reason is it helps people go from observing, kind of learning to action. It gives you specific things to start building cash flow in your life. I can tell you there's a cliche that people say, this is life-changing, that's life-changing. We'll find out, because my feeling is once you start using that material, you're going to see, wow, my life is changing. I mean, this is really working for me. So go to YourInvestingClass.com, get those free goodies, and start taking action that meets the same amount of observation and learning. Action is where the money is made. So with that, brief introductions as always for those that are new. Corey, please start us off.
Yeah, I got started in the market right around the turn of the millennium and went the traditional route, got Series 7 licensed, became a Series 4 option principal a number of years after that, worked there for 10 or so years. And I love the markets, love everything to do with risk management. At that time, I was managing hundreds of traders at a time. And I think, like I always say, that I can teach the financial markets incredibly well. It's one of a couple of skills that I have. I like sports, I like stocks. If you want anything beyond that, you probably need someone else. But if you want to learn about the financial markets, I can certainly teach you some stuff about that.
It's 100% true. Yeah. Corey, it's probably been over 20 years now, but I've never asked him a question that he wasn't saying, well, Andy, this is very simple. Boom, 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 boom. It's like an encyclopedia over here. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Noah Davidson.
Well, Corey's the guy I call when I have the random question that I'm not sure I'm 100% accurate on. It's like I got the gist of it, but if I want to dig into the details, that's your man. I'm Noah Davidson. I have been trading and investing since 1997, and I'm a technical analyst. That's what I love. I love chart reading, because really what it is you're reading into the psychology of the market, and that we're going to talk about.
That'll be big today.
That's going to be big today, because when you see how people react, you start to understand the behavioral patterns in the market, and that can make you money.
So, and that's the whole deal here is. When I see things like this, you don't want too much greed gland going on, but you want enough. And as long as your intelligence, is equal to your greed.
Equal to or greater than.
Yeah, I always say you got to be bigger than your money, yes. Right? You got to be bigger than your money. But there's just there's always opportunity in things, and the difference is some people have the financial education. Like, we're going to talk about things that I would say 99% of people involved in markets would not do. I'm saying 1 out of 100 would maybe know what we're talking about, because most are just in a 401k. That's their participation in the markets. They're participants, not investors. And we'll talk about what's happening with it. Corey will give us some numbers. We'll take a trading posture, and we'll take an investing posture, and we're going to talk about Tesla as a company. And I did not buy Tesla. I had a really good friend, and he'd listened to our podcast, and I coached his son a little bit, and he bought some Tesla really early. And I didn't like it because I didn't think, and I was wrong, by the way. It's kind of like when Munger said the biggest one they missed was Costco, right? They go, we missed that one. That one was plain to see, and we missed it. Tesla was the one that I missed. Mostly, you know, I wish I'd have driven one. If I'd have driven one earlier than I did, I'd have bought the stock.
Yeah.
I did not. I knew that Elon was a PayPal guy, and I'm like, okay, well, he's PayPal, and he's going to try and build cars and rocket ships, and that's great. But I missed it because of a PE issue. The PE was so outrageous. I'm like, they're never going to make it up. And what's funny now, I actually have more confidence that they can do it now, far more than back then. The other reason I didn't do it is I like dividend stocks, as everybody knows. And if it doesn't have a dividend, I'm like, yeah.
PE is an interesting animal. It can be kind of a red flag, but it can also just be like a red herring where it's what it is it's confidence in their ability that people are willing to pay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a growth number. I mean, really, it's when you have a big PE with a company like that, it's just people believe it's big. And so you think, well, is it or not? Is it Can it live up to the price?
Hype.
Can it live up to the price that you're paying for it? Can it because you're not getting it now. You're hoping that eventually what you're buying now is going to be worth something later.
Yeah, and you follow, and I follow more of the Warren Buffett methodology of we invest in things that we understand better. Correct. And so that, to your point, if you had ridden in one and seen that experience, that would have turned you onto it a little bit more. Why didn't Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway own Tesla? Well, you also have to look at valuation. What am I getting for what I'm paying? And the people that did really well, they threw valuation out the window and they made a bet on Elon. And they said, we think he's revolutionary. It's sort of like, when you bought Apple, maybe before the iPhone and so on, a lot of people were more investing in Steve Jobs and him as a visionary and so on. And that can be good or bad, right? There's big home runs, but then there's also a lot of failures where somebody that you put your, bet on doesn't come through and doesn't succeed quite that same way. So, but I think valuation was always the big hang up for professionals. Whereas Elon, the thing that he's done that's really smart is they're not just a car company. They're so much more than that. They're branching out and they're an energy company and they're this and they're that. And so that's where the big upside is if you were just to compare them to General Motors and to compare them to Ford, you'd say, well, they're way too expensive compared to their sales and so on of cars. But they're more than that. And that's...
They actually have the potential to be like Apple, where they will create an ecosystem that you like.
That you're stuck in.
Where you have your solar roof, and then you have your battery, and then you have your car. And then they'll expand. They have a lot more room for expansion maybe even than Apple does.
Yeah. Then they'll take you to Mars.
Yeah, all that type of stuff.
Launch a car into space.
So I'll tell you a little Tesla story. So I decided to buy a Tesla a little less than a year ago, I think, and I thought I'm gonna buy one. The first one I bought, I shouldn't talk about this in public. My dad got in a wreck, and so my wife and I got him a Tesla because it was really funny. He was always complaining about gas. And so he had a Prius, and someone hit the Prius, and so I told Marcia, I go, let's go get him a Tesla. He'll get a kick out of that. So we got him a Tesla, and he loves it. I mean, he's an octogenarian, but the thing basically drives itself. And this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember when it was. 3 years ago. So that was, and I'm driving it, I'm driving it over to his house so we can give it to him. And I'm like, this is a pretty interesting driving experience. This is really cool. So then I decided to get one. I think it was probably just less than a year ago. So great. And I'm converted. I love the car. Not everyone does. I love the car. So last week, my son is coming home from a basketball camp, and he calls my wife, and which kind of tells you who he looks to, right? He calls my wife and he says, Mom, I'm safe. I'm okay. But I've been in a car accident. She goes, where are you? He says, well, I'm down by this, such and such a gas station, which is, 1 minute from our house. He was almost home. And I said, or my wife says, I'll be right there. We'll be right there. So we think he's in a fender bender. A lady had stolen a car, and there were police officers from 5 jurisdictions chasing her. And they had a helicopter, and it's this big thing, you know.
Oh, I think I saw this episode of Cops.
Yeah, it's kind of like that,
Wow.
right? So we start getting close to where he told us we was, and we can't even perimeter, all this stuff. And so we tell the officer, hey, we're trying to get to our boy here, and they're trying to guide us through, and there's fire engines coming. And, there were easily 30 to 40 emergency vehicles chasing her just all over.
Wow.
They had spiked her tires probably a block down the road, and she was still driving. She ran a red light. Bam, right? So I'm looking at her car. Unfortunately, she didn't survive her injuries. I'm looking at her car, and it was unrecognizable. I couldn't tell you the make or model. I could say, well, it looks like a 4-door, but it was just a pile of steel. And my son's in that Tesla, and I look at the Tesla, and it's like, it was totaled for sure, but it doesn't take much to total it. The airbags go off, it's totaled, right?
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting, though, to see the damage in her car. And the officer said, oh, they're just tanks. He says they're so heavy that it's like has the mass of a truck, and these little cars just bounce right off them. And his car moved about 3 feet, and hers was just it was just a wheel over here, and it just exploded her car. And so my wife says, let's go buy another one.
Yeah.
So we went and ordered another one.
For safety, if nothing else.
It'll be here Thursday or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my wife, we were lying in bed last night, and she was scrolling on her phone looking at Teslas. I think she wants to trade in her fancy little Porsche for the Tesla.
They're really it's kind of like trading a Rolex for an Apple Watch. Like, I prefer the Apple Watch. The Rolex tells time. It's fancy. It's beautiful. It's art. It's beautiful, but it's not functional. And they're so I'm not doing an advertisement for Tesla, but I got converted when I drove one. I also think it's interesting that they don't need to advertise. It's one of those products that is unique enough that you'll tell your friend, hey, you ever driven one? Oh, come take mine for a spin.
Yeah.
People are kind of proud of owning it.
Yeah.
I had a student many, many years ago, a guy named Charles, who was an early adopter. And I sat in the passenger side of his car. He just took me for a test drive. And as he stepped on the gas, and it pinned me back.
Yeah.
But not in the way like a sports car.
Yeah,
it's different.
No, very different. Very
Yeah, it's
different. I was very intrigued by it.
And but what's interesting is what I start seeing happening is Warren Buffett talks about a moat. And for actually longer than I wanted to admit, I understood what a moat was. Okay, it's a defense. You want a wide moat, a deep moat, protect the castle from assailants of all kinds, right? You want a good moat. Fifth grader can understand that. But what does that look like in a business specifically? Okay, why does Coke have a moat? Or why does Tesla have a moat? And what I've settled on, and I don't know, I thought I've read enough Warren Buffett that he would have defined it better, but what I've settled on is that what a moat is it centers around the quality of and scarcity of work that you do. In other words, when we pull down the cash flow jack in the box and I say there's the handle, the cash flow that comes out of the top, and the price tag, that handle is the most important thing that a company can do, is what is the work that it does. Burlington Northern Santa Fe, 40% of the nation's freight goes through rail. They're the biggest ones. It takes $500 billion to, duplicate that rail system and everything, and they're part of it and what they have control over. It's solid. It is a very difficult moat to cross.
No other company is going to come in.
Let's start a new
$500 million.
Let's start a new railroad and take down.
There's
Burlington
no way.
Northern. So Buffett sits there and kind of strokes his whiskers and says, "You want to put your grain from here to here, Mr. Food, Clothing, and Shelter. I need things I can see, touch, and feel. You want to build real estate with steel, commercial, or lumber, residential. All right. Well, you have to talk to me to do it." Because what are you going to do? You're going to fly those steel beams on a 747? No, you're going to do it on rail, and I own the biggest one. So he's got a position of necessity. Apple's kind of like that.
Yeah,
Apple has a moat. I've bought into that ecosystem. And so I have an Apple TV, and I have I have the phone and the iPads, and the whole thing.
And what I try to do is similar to what you're talking about with this mode idea. Is I try to envision the future. So if you were to just close your eyes and lay back and go, okay, 5 years ago, did you know that people were going to continue to buy iPhones? And I see Noah closing his eyes.
Yeah.
Were people going to continue to buy iPhones? Was that going to be the prominent model for the next 5 years? Is that what it's going to be? Or is there going to be major competition to Tesla? Or are people going to keep buying those cars? Now, I know there's political risks and so on, but you sort of, it's not that you can see the future, but you can sort of envision what the future is going to look like for certain companies. Other companies, it's more difficult. If I close my eyes and I imagine 5 to 10 years in the future, I know my wife's still going to drink Diet Coke. Yeah. There is no question she is going to be drinking Diet Coke 5 years from now. She might like some other things, okay, but she's going to drink Diet Coke. So you can sort of see the future for certain corporations. And I feel like Tesla is in that mode where it didn't take a genius to go, you know what are the next 5 years going to look like? Well, there's going to be a lot more Teslas on the road, period.
That's how I feel. And you also have leadership. And, say what you want about Elon. He says some pretty weird stuff. And he certainly,
he's controversial.
And quirky. What's the difference between
weird
and eccentric?
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah. Do I like everything about his personality? Probably not. But he's not 100 years old. He's going to be around for a while.
Yep.
He certainly has a lot of staying power. He's a lot like Mark Cuban in that he's a billionaire that is vocal and wants to be famous and wants to be out there. And so he over tweets. I don't read his tweets, but I hear about the people that do read his tweets.
Yeah.
And so that's great. So the question is let's talk about the stock. I mean, if we want to have a political discussion, we could sit and roll our eyes and say, gee, wish we could get out of the 9th grade where we have to, look at me, and here's my rejoinder, and well, I'll get you, and come on.
We do live in a very entertaining timeline. It's a little bit like the WWE.
No, it's not that good. It's Jerry Springer. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah. It's not. It hasn't risen to the level of WWE. Come on. That's at least
there's
cool.
entertainment value. I will say that much.
I mean, King Kong Bundy.
I started watching before it was WWE. I remember the WWF Royal Rumbles.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Gene.
Mean Gene Okerlund.
Mean Gene. Yeah. Whatever it was, yeah. No, I mean, King Kong Bundy. I mean, come on.
Roddy Piper. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I guess I'm all about Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
That's my guy.
We did have some politicians though. The guy from Minnesota,
Jesse the Body Ventura,
the Body,
the Hulkster.
Jesse was a governor.
Andre the Giant.
Oh, I love Andre.
So these guys are Jerry Springer. They're in the 9th grade. Sprouting back and forth. So the question is as Tesla pulls back in stock price, where's the smart money? And the whole deal is about who's smarter.
Yeah.
It is really about who is smarter all the time. So who's smarter?
Yeah. So we always talk.
There's a dumb trade and there's a smart trade.
Yeah.
And our job is to tell people or to, pontificate. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Sit there and, just preach. Our job is to identify the dumb trade and the smart trade.
Yeah.
Dumb money versus smart money.
Well, and we always talk about the fundamentals, and we always bring it back to those 6, the power of the 6 boxes, right? Income, expenses, assets, liabilities, cash flow. And that really applies to Tesla as well. So if you want to learn more about that, go to YourInvestingClass.com.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I love it.
And at YourInvestingClass.com, you can get an ebook that actually will take you through these numbers. So we would do those numbers. The problem is that Tesla is going to score expensive. Yes. We're going to do those numbers and we're going to go Tesla valuation-wise, very expensive. But here's the thing. I'm not against buying an expensive stock if I believe it will grow into that valuation, which is the whole growth question, right? Growth takes care of an expensive valuation, because it doesn't matter if you're trading at 90 times earnings. If your earnings grow by 300%, now you were only at a 30 PE.
Yeah.
If they grow at 300% more, now it was like you bought it when it was at a 10 PE. Because you grow those earnings. That price tag was not expensive, but that's the big question mark, is what do we think that growth is going to look like?
The other thing is I don't like I do own some Berkshire, so I'll confess that I own a company that doesn't pay a dividend, right? And I've had other companies that don't pay a dividend. Well, if you'd have bought Apple early in the growth stage, the investor yield, the dividend yield is lousy, but the investor yield for the early guy, it's like Buffett's Coke, right?
Yep.
It's paying $2 a year, or whatever it is, and he paid $3.25 for it. Yep. So as you look as a forward-thinking instrument, when Tesla goes from growth to income, which I think they have staying power. I don't think they're going to. This is not the Studebaker company right here. They are pioneer in the industry.
Well, and they are so far ahead of
way
their competition.
far. Yeah. I mean, I put in a small amount of money, like it's some option money, I guess you'd call it, to buy one of the new Hummers, like when LeBron James first advertised, and that was like 7 years ago. And now it's like, it was so cool when we first saw the ad, and that's like 5 years ago. It's like, I don't want one of those anymore. Yeah. So it really takes them a long time to get stuff done, and Tesla gets stuff done.
Oh yeah.
So I think, what's the dumb trade and what's the smart trade? Well, give us some numbers of the past.
Yeah, so we pulled up some numbers on Tesla's growth, and it's astounding. Just to put it into statistical returns, in a 5-year span, their stock is up 392%. In a 10-year span, it's up 1,700%. And in a 15-year span, it's up 19,000%. So you look at that, and that speaks to, again, that growth of just the underlying earnings.
So are you the late guy of the party? I mean, I've changed my mind on this, but for a while, I said, okay, I'm not buying Tesla because the PE is too much. It's not going to live up. Then I think, okay, I was wrong. I made a mistake. But maybe my second mistake was, now I'm not buying it because I just think I'm late to the party. Yeah,
and we probably are late in terms of that type of growth. I don't think the next 15 years is going to see a 19,000%. But you don't need that to do incredibly well. And so I think the smart guy probably utilizes options to, if you want to purchase Tesla, get paid to do it at reduced prices. And right now, it's a really smart trade, because part of the fighting between Trump and Elon and these types of added risks, what that does to the options market is it pumps up the premium. And we love that as option sellers, right? So we're now basically, think of it from an options perspective as like insurance. The insurance company says, well, we need to be paid more. We need to be compensated greater because the risks are going up, because everyone's now worried about what Trump might do to Tesla and what Tesla is going to do in the future, and are Republicans turning against Elon, and et cetera, et cetera. And so the option premiums get bigger and bigger, which means a couple of things. Either A, I can sell the same strike price I would have before and just get paid way more money, or B, I can get the same premium or a significant premium, but even go further away. So if the stock's at $250 per share, I could be selling a strike price that's way down at $200 per share. I can get it at a 25% discount or 20% discount to its current price and still get paid premium to do it. So that's the smart way, I think, to go about it, is getting paid. If this is an investor mindset, if you want to own it long term, get paid and get in on one of those dips.
I'll tell you what I think the dumb trade is. The dumb trade is the political trade.
Yeah.
The dumb trade is the non-investor hat trade. The dumb trade is where you're using your emotions. If you bought or sold based on the fight, if you were a lefty who said, "Oh, now Elon's back on our side. He wants to impeach Trump. Now I'll buy a Tesla. I mean, or I'll buy their stock. I'll support him now." I think that's the dumb trade. When you allow politics to cloud, now you're in emotions right now.
Right.
The question is, if you look at the Anheuser-Busch trade, and you look at the target trade where you had what, for lack of a better word, what people are referring to as wokeness, right? What you want to do is you want to be out of the snow globe, okay? And I teach this to my sons. Is one day my sons, we had this, the thing you shake up and it snows inside. That's what I mean by snow globe. Mm-hmm. And they're really young, and they shake it up and they're looking at the snowflakes fall in this little Christmas scene. And I said, gee, do you think those people know we're watching them? And of course, my David, who's like 4, he's like, Dad, they're not real. They're not. He probably even said they're not sentient. That's the type of thing he'd say. I say, I don't know, son. I don't know. I mean, maybe someone's watching us in the snow globe. He's like, Dad, come on. Yeah. But we talked about the perspective of being, and this is kind of more into your Eastern, Buddhism, presence, whatever you want to call it. But it's the ability to observe without judgment, without passion, without attachment. Yes. In other words, you are able to shed all your political, social, religious, all that just shit, and you're just this consciousness that's watching as an observer. And that is the investor, right? Yeah. If you're and so we have this thing in our family where when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down. Yep. So when any one of the 4 of us see the emotion rising up, we'll say, hey, should we just step out of the snow globe for a bit? And the snow globe it has no emotion. It's a dispassionate observation of what's going on to where you can make decisions clearly. The stupid trade is the guy in the snow globe that says, well, that son of a gun Trump, or that son of a gun Elon, or I'm going to choose this parent now that they're divorced or whatever. That's the stupid trade. That's the dumb trade.
Yeah. I could tie this up with a really pretty bow.
Tie it up and then we'll go to break.
So Corey was talking about insurance, options as insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Andy's talking about basically what's called agitation propaganda. You shake up the snow globe and then you watch everybody fight.
Yeah.
So they get everybody all emotional. And the stock price reacted, right? But I can think of a future when Corey was a minute ago saying, hey, close your eyes and picture the future.
Yes.
And then he started talking about insurance. What popped into my mind was full self-drive will be the future because the insurance companies will demand it. And because of that right there, and they are so far ahead in the full self-drive. Funny enough, one of my very best friends, he's a pretty politically left-leaning guy, but he sat his wife down and he said, I really want a Cybertruck. And I know that that's not going to look cool to some of our friends, but I really, really want one. So he went and bought it. And he's since told me it's the best car he's ever owned. And he and I came down from the ski resort one day in full self-drive mode. It drove in a snowstorm all the way down. I was so impressed.
It's wild. We got in ours, and I said, let's go to the grocery store. Parked it. I mean, the whole cockeyed thing, man, the whole deal.
So the insurance companies, I don't know how long it's going to take, 10 years, 20 years. Every car will be full self-drive. And they're not just a car company. They are the full self-drive.
And here's what people need to, I think, realize is the power of the almighty dollar. I mean, you have a lot of different trades. Anheuser-Busch comes out with that advertisement, and Kid Rock is,
blowing up his
got
beer.
an M16 shooting up his beer. I mean, just crazy crap, right? But you also have the Walmart trade and the Nike trade where they're like, well, they're sweatshops and they're very socially immoral type of accusations. But people still want low prices, and they still want their basketball shoes.
See, I used to be against Walmart, but then they bought my Denver Broncos, and I'm a fan. So now I'm a fan of Walmart.
I'm sorry.
I'm living in the Enver globe right now.
I'm sorry that you're.
I used to dislike. Now I love them. I don't know.
I'm sorry you're an Enver fan. Yeah. There is no D. They're the Enver Broncos.
Yeah.
And this year they're the Enver Nuggets. Anyway, no D there. But get it. The dumb trade is the snow globe trade, and if you look at it like, okay, all that Anheuser-Busch stuff, all that Target stuff, or the Nike trade, or the Walmart trade, where Nike and Walmart survive that better than Target or Anheuser-Busch, doesn't matter, because that's all price thinking. Yeah. None of that is really talking about the quality of that work that is being done.
Yep.
And if the quality of the work that is being done is really good work, those passions come and go. If you've ever had an argument with your family, some of them last a lifetime, which one, I'm not going to speak to them the rest of my life, and they stick to it. But most of the time, the emotions settle down. You realize, oh, I still care about this person. I'm sorry, or they say they're sorry, whatever it is, and things calm down. And I think in the case of, of this stuff, there's a bigger hunger for people to. We want to get past this generation of leadership, and we want to get past all this, and have some this little spat between Elon and Trump is not going to go down in the annals of history and get its own chapter in a history book of a major event. It was two guys with egos trying to rejoinder each other on social media for their own enjoyment. I think
not unless they bring back
Elon,
duels. If they bring back duels, then
I think Elon gets a bigger kick out of it because I think he likes to toy with people. He's more of a guy.
Well, Trump loves that
he's just
too.
going to
I think
stir
they're
the
both
pot.
trolls.
Yeah.
He's just going to stir the pot a little bit. I mean, for all we know, they said, "Hey, let's do this."
Yeah.
It's
like
that's
Tupac,
what I said.
Tupac
WWE,
and
right?
yeah, Tupac and
let's
Biggie.
do
It's
this.
like, hey, if you have two groups that
any
actually hate
publicity
each
is
other,
good publicity.
Exactly.
Right? No, but let's do this. Let's go to break, and then we'll come back. Our break's too far. It's not in the middle. That's all right. And when we come back, we're going to give trades. I'm going to say how I'm going to do this, what I'm going to do with it. You guys say what you're going to do with it, and we'll talk about what we think might be the smart trade. So far, I haven't made the smart trade with Tesla, but I think I might mess with it. And when I come back, I'll tell you why I might try and mess with it and how I'll do it.
They make different topics that could be complex very simple. You're going to learn at your own pace. The more that you want to learn, the more you can learn. It's been amazing for me personally, as well as me taking the subject matter and teaching it to my children. They're all very passionate about what it is they're teaching and how they teach it, and it just comes across as so genuine. If it's something that you're interested in, then certainly they're the best teachers that I've run across in terms of teaching fiscal education.
Welcome back to the Cash Flow Academy podcast. This is where we make investing fun, simple, and real. We've been talking about Tesla and Trump and the fight. Okay, so the price has pulled back a little bit, and whenever no one knows me, that whenever I see a price pull back, I can't. It's almost everything's on sale in my idea. I'm a monopoly player.
Yeah.
I want to buy everything in sight.
Well, it's not just on sale. The option premiums just shot through the roof so it's extra on sale. Like if you have that extra knowledge where you understand options, it's a game changer because you can find the asset that's not just on sale because the fundamentals didn't change. There was an emotional reaction to the spat, right? So you get this price drop. Yeah. The implied volatility shoots up. The options are fat with premium. Okay, that means that selling options is going to get me paid. Buying options is probably not, you're paying an inflated value, but there's ways around that.
Elon has an interesting posture because, Trump says, all right, I've got Congress in my pocket. They're all petrified of me. I'm a huge guy on loyalty. And if you cross me, your life is over, right? So Congress is mortified of Trump, right? They're very afraid of him with good reason, right? Trump knows how to leverage. He knows how to get what he wants by force.
By persuasion, everybody loves me.
No, he's a leverager, and he's smart. I mean, he's art of the deal, right? So I respect that, and I'm not gonna wrestle with Trump. I'd lose. So be that as may. Elon's interesting though because government contract wise, you can say, well, the government can just cancel all his contracts and his business. Can they? Because Boeing has really done a great job lately. Don't we have a lot of confidence in Boeing? I mean, you got to find the smartest, best people because it's in the country's best interest. If you've got a technology war with China, you probably want a guy like Elon on your side, right? He's one of the smartest guys. So that's an interesting posture play. But if I decide I want to jump into Tesla, my biggest fear is still buying it too high. I don't like buying things high, but I would go about this a little differently. I would trade to own it. I usually, like, let's say I get some real estate money. Okay, what are we going to do with that? Okay, we're going to spend it. That's an option. We're going to invest it, go buy something. But there's an interesting idea of trading to own. For example, if my trade on this, and it's not a trade I do very often, you do a lot of these, I kind of like a butterfly. And the reason I like a butterfly is it's extremely low risk, and you got to kind of thread the needle a little bit, in that range. I know why he likes it. It's a triangle, and if you can get in the Illuminati eye part of the triangle, then you're really doing well.
Now you're learning. We might invite you to the club after.
Can I come to a meeting at least? Is there like a trial, or you're either in or out on something like that? I'd imagine.
Well, Elon's seat is open, so.
That's just because he stepped out to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, we're taking candidates.
Yeah, he'll be back. But I like that because it's and I like the idea of trading to acquire shares at instant return. In other words, I'm going to let the market buy it for me. I'm going to let the options market buy the stock for me.
Yeah.
And I probably would build a position over time that way. It's definitely not something I like enough where I'm going to sell something that I absolutely love that's cash flowing. It's really hard for me to sell certain stocks. And I talk about the same ones over and over. I was talking about showing a friend Prudential. And I started with, one contract, 2, 3, and you just build up hundreds and hundreds of shares, right? All the way up over time. My cost basis on some of these is so low that the dividend often approaches double digits for my investor yield for what I put into it. And you just can't let those go.
And you don't want to take the huge tax hit, and they're still paying a big dividend and so on.
And the thing is, when you have a low cost basis, your dividend is so much higher, but also your premiums are outrageous.
Well, when you say options, you're speaking what I love. And with options, we're talking zero debt leverage. And who doesn't like that? I don't need to use any debt. It's my capital. But I can leverage a bigger position with smaller amounts of capital. So now my return on investment can be significant.
Let me just illuminate that a little bit, the zero debt leverage. So I love real estate because of 2 reasons, taxes and leverage, right?
Yep.
Debt and taxes. There's a saying that Robert and Kenny used to say, debt and taxes make you rich. I wish I had more debt. I wish I had more real estate. It's a fantastic investment if you can do it. But if the deal does go bad, you're on the hook for the debt. Yeah. In other words, you're not only losing your down payment, you're still on the hook for the debt unless you do the bankruptcy thing, then you're not. But here, it's almost like you put the down payment, but you don't have the big debt obligation.
Exactly.
If you lose your down payment, you lose your down payment, but you don't have this big obligation. You have rights, but not obligations.
Yep.
Isn't that interesting? You have rights with no obligations. Now think about that just philosophically, that sentence. I have rights, but I have no obligations.
I'll take that option.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Nice. Touche. Touche.
And to your point, marrying the two ideas, we talked about how you can profit from these bigger premiums. And I like the butterfly strategy because for our more advanced option traders listening in, there's a theta switch area, right?
Yeah.
And for those that don't understand theta, here's an explanation.
That's for us to know and for you to find out.
Yeah. But here's why delta broke up with theta, because theta was wasting too much time.
Yeah.
So theta is.
Oh my gosh.
3 of us got that joke.
Yeah.
3 of us.
But theta is time decay, right? It's basically the passage of time. Today becomes tomorrow. Yeah. Well, with this butterfly, depending on where you're at, where the stock price is at, it can be a theta positive, which means just that time decay is actually building some profitability. It can be a position that profits from the fact that volatility, that premiums are high because of how we constructed it. So we're taking an option trade. We're utilizing the good things about what's happening in the options market, like time decay, like higher premiums, but we're doing it in a way where we're risking a small amount of capital to make. And you could put on a butterfly. I mean, that's 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1 reward to risk. So for every $100 I'm risking, I'm making $500, $600 max reward. It's really attractive strategy from that standpoint.
And you probably don't pick up 100 shares overnight for the average person, because for the average person, that'd be a pretty expensive stock. But you could build a position
over time,
bigger and bigger and bigger. That's another reason is I like to have less expensive stocks often because I can sell more contracts and more options.
Yeah.
And, stuff like that. But I really like the idea of having the options market pay for my Tesla.
Right.
Let's simplify the jargon a little bit because they're speaking a lot of Greek.
Yeah.
I mean, literally Greeks.
Oh my gosh. It's
And
just one after
It's
the
all
other.
Greek to me. And
It's just one after another.
they're
Delta,
talking
theta.
about strategies that are kind of intermediate option strategies. And
Yeah.
what it really means at the end of the day is you can use less capital to control the asset.
Well,
And you can set yourself up so that it's if the stock price rises with this small amount of capital, I can get, what were the numbers? 5, 6,
it
7
takes
times.
away the excuse of I can't afford it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't buy it. It's too expensive. Well, no, that's not. It's not a money issue. It's an intelligence issue.
Yeah.
It's a education issue. It always is, right?
Yep.
I mean, if you look at the amateur, an amateur looks at a price and says, "How high might it go?" And that's the dumb trade.
Yeah.
A professional looks at the price and say, "How can I control that for paying this much?" And that is the leverage guy. That's the intelligence trade. The decision that you're faced with in a discussion like this is, do I know what they're even talking about right now? And do I want to be an educated, financially educated person, or do I want to be a financially ignorant person? But that's just the butterflies, the trade that came to mind because of the low risk, high reward, less probability. But you do it enough times, you probably pick up some shares. And that'd be an interesting way to build a position. If you didn't want to take your cash flow from your other investments and compound it by buying shares at top dollar, let the options market buy it for you. Yep. And if you're skilled enough, there's a real shot. And I think when you have a spat, if the reason the stock is down is because they're having a spat and it's in the news cycle, I would see a future where that spills over and roll their eyes and people still want. I saw a short on the internet of a guy. It was kind of a right-wing guy, I think. I hate politics so much I can't keep track of who's who anymore. But anyway, this guy it was all staged, but this guy brings home like a Lexus or something, and he's got it in the driveway with a bow on it, and he goes in to his wife, says, "Come and see what I got you." It's a brand new Lexus. And she goes, "Where's my Tesla?" She goes, "Well, I know you hate Elon, so I got rid of the Tesla." She goes, "You go get my Tesla." No, I know you hate him. Let's buy the Lexus. He goes, "No, get my." So there'll be people that want to buy this car even though they hate him.
Yeah.
Because they like the car. And people can make that separation. Yeah, I hate him, but I sure love the car. People do it with Trump all the time. I hate his arrogance, but I love his policy. They do it all the time.
Yeah.
So I think the reason I like the butterfly is you have this dip, and what happens when, like, let's say you have a gap down. You're the technical analyst. Tell me, once you see a gap down, a stock is here one day, down there the next, off just news, it's an overreaction, knee-jerk. What happens half the time?
They buy the dip.
It fills the gap.
Yep.
Yeah, they buy the dip, fills the gap. So if this gap fills and you put what we call a targeted butterfly out there, you got a chance to have the market buy you some Tesla, and that's the trade I would do.
Love it.
So any other trade? I mean, there's a lot of them you could do.
I mentioned the investor.
You could do a ratio.
Yeah, I mentioned the investor mindset of like get paid to buy it at a reduced price, which I think would be good for the investor because you'd be profiting from inflated volatility. You'd be profiting from the passage of time. And you can really, with something like Tesla, because it's a high beta, higher volatility stock, you can put your strike prices way, way below, which is always an advantage. So it's like, I'm not collecting as big of a premium way down here, but my potential cost basis is way, way lower than where it's currently trading. 20% lower type of.
You could, I mean, I keep it simple. When I want a stock, I want a stock. So
Yeah.
I'll just sell a put. I'll sell an out of the money put, and if it dips a little more, I get even better discount. I get paid to do it.
Yeah.
I remember I was talking about, God, what the hell stock was it? I can't remember. It was last week, but I was amazed that I couldn't get into this thing because it just kept above the strike. But I think I got $11 off when it finally dipped, and I bought it because I made $11 on it per share just by selling the put. But in this case,
it wasn't CCJ. Was it the
no? It wasn't
uranium? We had talked about that one at one class, and that one's doing phenomenally well.
I got into that.
Yeah.
Well, I actually did both. I bought some of that and I sold the put because I didn't want to miss the jump.
Yep.
But would you say would you say just sell the cash secured put, or would you sell maybe a credit spread, maybe a bull put credit spread?
Yeah, very similar type of strategy. The advantage to doing the credit spread would actually be in the event that it did tank. You could basically monetize that lower put.
Protection.
Yeah. So if you were to get a massive tank, you could still take ownership of the stock from the short put, but you could sell that lower long put and actually make a lot of money off of it, further reducing your cost. But for me, a lot of times I'll just, if I want to own the stock, and that's the big key, you have to be willing to own the stock.
That's where I usually am.
And I would just sell the put. Yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted. I was just looking up CCJ stock.
Yeah.
Well,
broke out to new all-time highs.
Well, the reason we were interested in that radium play is because of the energy.
Energy, yep.
Like people, I am so laughing at all these old school guys. I want something I can see, touch, and feel. I need my gold and I need my real estate. I'm like, you don't think energy is a necessity of life now?
Well, you probably really shouldn't
your
touch
Bitcoin
uranium.
Your Bitcoin doesn't even exist without electricity. You're kidding me? I want uranium. I want power. I want oil. I want natural gas, because the world runs on energy. You don't get any of your food, clothing, shelter if the lights and heat, and you don't get any of that. I mean, technology, it's not optional now. We act as if, well, I could go live in the mountains like Grizzly Adams, No, you can't. And no, you won't. You need light switches and computers and phones and cars that drive themselves.
So when I close my eyes, I picture Tesla cars, self-driving, nuclear power plants, power. I mean, this is the dream.
Yeah.
Well,
we're going to get rich.
This is the future. It's actually, if you want, what is it? 6.21 gigawatts or whatever. You need that uranium.
I thought it was plutonium.
Yeah. Maybe it's plutonium. Yeah, that's probably
You're telling me this sucker is nuclear?
But if you want to go back in time, go back to the future.
Key is ownership.
Yeah.
Ownership.
Yep.
Because I'm going to trade. What's the purpose of trading? It's to own, and that's how I would go
Let's
about
reframe
Tesla.
it.
I would
Ownership
trade it to own it.
And leverage to own. There's options.
Lever to own it. I absolutely. This is when I think I try to trade to own and let the market pay for it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to build a wall and they're going to pay for it. I'm going to trade the option and let the options pay for it.
Yeah, and the beauty of position sizing is you can do both. You could do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And you could get an investor position where maybe you only do one or two contracts, whatever you're willing to own.
We should build that trade in the coaching.
Yeah.
In the next coaching
in our coaching
session,
class, build it out.
In the next coaching session, build that trade in the next coaching.
Yeah,
we should do that
for our group. We'll do that.
All right, I'll be in attendance.
I'm feeling just a little bit of greed. I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
I want to see what
Corey's doing.
I want to see a targeted butterfly.
Targeted butterfly to pay for my Tesla.
5-1.
Love it.
All right, that's Corey's. We'll work his magic on the Tesla trade. That'll be really cool. So. The smart trade is the out of the snow globe trade, where you check your emotions and allegiances at the door and you say, look, right now I'm here to invest.
Yeah.
It's a lot like Dennis Rodman on the Bulls. Dennis is a loose cannon. Dennis is Dennis.
Yeah.
He's going to go to Vegas and say, Coach, I'm going to Vegas.
He's going to get married to Carmen Electra.
Yeah. In
and
his own wedding dress.
Madonna.
And he's the one going to wear the wedding dress.
Right.
Carmen won't be wearing anything.
Yeah.
That's actually a true story. Jordan knocks on his door and there's him and Carmen
Electra, yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, he's getting 19 boards for you this game in the playoffs.
And playing incredible defense.
And your goal is to win the dang championship. So whether he's got his hair dyed or whatever he's doing, whatever antics, your goal is to three-peat, and he's going to help you three-peat. Well, 3 in a row.
Dennis Rodman might be the greatest athlete of all time. Who else can party all night long and
be famous for playing defense?
Yeah, and then
rebounding,
play incredible defense, fly around the court, get every rebound.
The dude is I'm a fan.
I don't know how he did it.
I'm a fan, but you can see what I'm saying is you got to separate your emotions from what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, okay, you can be a voter and vote your conscience and do whatever you want, but when you put on your investor hat, get out of the snow globe, right? Get out of the snow globe. And by the way, you can actually find that to be rather refreshing to just say, I'm just going to look at this dispassionately. I don't care. You know, Robert used to say this: I have a right hand and a left hand, not a right hand and a wrong hand. All right, well, let's just see what's what. Let's just see what is and get out of the snow globe. Smart trade, educated, out of the snow globe. Dumb trade, ignorant, in the snow globe. You're going to lose most of the time. There you go. You got a different trade?
Well, I mean, if I was really going to be greedy on this, every time it dips, I'd throw in a back ratio.
Yeah.
Because you get to take advantage of the fat premium and the leverage. And when people buy the dip, which they almost always buy the dip, it pays out huge. And if it keeps dipping, it doesn't hurt so bad.
Yeah.
You know what? I just thought of the best trade. The best trade someone can make today is to spend 5 minutes and go to YourInvestingClass.com.
I love it, man.
If you spend 5 minutes and go to YourInvestingClass.com, zero risk, all upside potential.
No downside.
No downside.
Then you might start to understand what we're talking about.
And you're going to want to be in that coaching session.
For sure. There you go. Awesome stuff, guys. Really good discussion. I don't really care about the tweets. I really don't care about the rejoinders. What I care about is, hey, should I buy this stock, and how should I buy it? And I think I'd have the options market pay for this one for sure. So there you go. You've been watching and listening to the Cashflow Academy podcast. Fun, simple, real. Noah Davidson, Corey Halliday. Thanks, guys. Hit your like and subscribe. And as Corey said, YourInvestingClass.com. Free goodies there. We'll see you next time.